I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all agree on that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want to have anything to do with him. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Allegedly.
And she does.
Yeah, how do you know all this?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know all this.
Allegedly.
All right, everyone, gather around. We've got a bombshell story to unpack today that's shaking both the entertainment and political worlds. And trust me, it's something you don't want to miss. Buckle up, because today's scoop involves none other than Melania Trump, the former First Lady, suing the hosts of The View for a staggering $100 million. Sounds wild, right? But that's just the tip of the iceberg in this dramatic saga. So,
I do want to get back to this point with the left and Melania Trump. Why can't she just be her own woman and have separate?
And she can.
And so why all that criticism? I mean, that was gross from The View. And look, The View is not the litmus test of America. We don't think that.
They were afraid of that remark. That was their problem.
So why did they handle it that way?
What's going on? You're probably thinking, why such a massive lawsuit? What could have sparked this kind of drama? Well, hold on to your seats, because what's at the heart of this case is some pretty explosive allegations. During a broadcast of The View, the hosts made some bombshell comments about Melania's personal life and her relationship with her husband, Donald Trump. And, let's just say, things escalated quickly. You know it. The hosts didn't hold back, suggesting Melania hates Christmas, didn't want to be First Lady, and, get this, can't even stand sleeping in the same room as Donald Trump. Yeah, you heard that right. It was a full-blown rant. And naturally, these comments didn't just pass under the radar, they sparked a media firestorm. Now, Melania's lawyers are ready to take action. So, why exactly is this so significant? Well, these allegations didn't just create a minor stir. They're being framed as a direct attack on Melania's reputation. In the eyes of her legal team, these statements were not only false, but were made with the intent to harm her public image. When you've got millions of people watching, something like this could be incredibly damaging, and we're talking about reputations that could take years to rebuild. Yeah, and remember, this isn't the first time The View has gotten into hot water for controversial remarks. But this one, it could cost them big time. Melania's lawsuit is a defamation case, claiming the statements made on air weren't just harmless banter, but deliberate fabrications. And as if this wasn't enough, the hosts of The View did a woman plotting to take Donald out. Oh, and we can't forget that.
Okay, so we can all agree on that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out.
But what the part about destroying the Rose Garden, right? That comment, coupled with the accusation about hating Christmas, turned into a viral storm. But here's the big question. Where do you draw the line between free speech and defamation? You've got one side saying that these are just opinions, part of the game of public discourse. But then you've got Melania's legal team, who argue that this kind of rhetoric is intentionally damaging. You make a good point there. The core of this lawsuit is about reputational harm. In order to win a defamation case, Melania's team has to prove that what was said was false, damaging, and made with malicious intent. That's a tough battle, especially when you're a public figure. But what's fascinating here is how the case is likely to affect how media outlets approach this balance between free speech and the right to protect someone's reputation. Exactly. On one hand, we've got the freedom of speech that allows people to say what they think, even if it's not exactly flattering. But on the other, there's the issue of malicious claims that can harm a person's dignity and privacy. And The View, as we all know, has made its name by being outspoken, but this could be a turning point. Let's not forget the history here either. The View has built a reputation as a platform for often controversial, sometimes cutting-edge discussions. The hosts are known for their liberal leanings, and they often don't shy away from controversial takes. Some viewers love the boldness. Others criticize it as biased and unchecked. But where do we draw the line when the criticism crosses into personal territory? The show has long been a lightning rod for public opinion. It's where heated debates over politics, pop culture, and social issues often spill into the open. For some, that's what makes it compelling. But for others, especially when the conversation goes personal, it can feel like a step too far. This lawsuit might just be a reminder of the real-world consequences of that kind of unchecked speech. Here's where it gets even more interesting. The lawsuit isn't just about the damage done to Melania's reputation. It's about setting a precedent. If she wins this case, it could...
I do want to get back to this point with the left and Melania Trump. Why can't she just be her own woman and have separate...
And she can.
And so why all that criticism? I mean, that was gross from The View. And look, The View is not the litmus test of America. We don't think that.
They were afraid of that remark. That was their problem.
So why did they handle it that way?
Regulations on how talk shows handle potentially defamatory content. Media companies could be forced to tighten their guidelines for hosts, and maybe even start vetting content more closely. It's a game changer, no doubt. But what's your take on all this? Is this about Melania protecting her image? Or does this open up have huge implications for talk shows and media outlets across the board? A victory for Melania could send a message to hosts everywhere that they need to be more cautious with their words. Definitely. If the courts rule in her favor, it could lead to stricter discussion about media accountability. The bigger picture: free speech versus defamation and the public's reaction. So, let's take a step back and really look at the bigger picture. What does this all mean for the media landscape moving forward? Whether Melania wins or loses, we're talking about a case that could shift how public figures are treated in the media. Do talk shows have an obligation to stick to facts, or is it all just entertainment? That's the crux of the debate, isn't it? The balance between free speech and defamation. On the one hand, you've got a platform like The View, where opinions are front and center. On the other, there's the risk that those opinions could bleed into harmful territory when personal lives are dragged into the conversation. Take, for example, the comments about Melania not wanting to be the First Lady, or her supposed disdain for the White House's Christmas decorations. It may seem trivial, but it's all about the tone. It's not about whether she likes or dislikes Christmas. It's about the potential damage these kinds of insinuations can cause. What if those remarks affect her ability to be seen in a dignified light by the public? People can be influenced by what they hear on TV, and once something's out there, it can be hard to take back. Especially in today's media age, where sound bites spread faster than ever before. True, and that's why Melania's legal team is coming in strong. They're aiming to prove that these were more than just off-the-cuff remarks. They were part of a deliberate effort to tarnish her reputation. In defamation cases, intent is a key factor. Was it just poor judgment, or was it malice? If they can prove malice, that changes everything. And let's talk about The View's defense. It's not as if the hosts are going to just sit back and accept the lawsuit. They'll argue that they were exercising their right to free speech, that these were opinions based on publicly available information. After all, we're talking about a former First Lady, someone who was in the public eye for years. But even in the public eye, does that mean everything is open for scrutiny? That's exactly the debate. The View isn't just some random TV show. It's one of the most watched talk shows out there, with millions of viewers tuning in. Their words matter, and they know it. But does that give them free rein to say whatever they want, especially when it veers into personal territory? The case is going to hinge on whether the host's statements were fair, factual, or just inflammatory. It's also going to depend on how the court views the role of the media in a situation like this.
Okay, so we can all agree on that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out.
But what?
We could see stricter rules about how hosts talk about public figures. But if the court sides with The View, it could be seen as a win for free speech, allowing talk shows to continue making bold, sometimes harsh opinions without fear of legal consequences. Public opinion is divided. Some people think the hosts were just speaking the truth, based on their perspective of Melania's actions during her time as First Lady. Others believe it was a cheap shot, an invasion of privacy, and a personal attack. As we get deeper into this lawsuit, one thing's clear: there's a lot at stake. Not just for Melania, but for how we view media responsibility in the digital age. Exactly. It's a moment of reckoning for how the media and public figures interact. What happens in this case could have far-reaching consequences for the entire media industry. Will it lead to stricter regulations and more careful speech? If you like this video, then subscribe this channel and also hit the bell icon. And also like this video